Welcome to Reality Check, where we use what we see on the TV screen to start conversations about mental health and take deep dives into understanding relationships. My name is Selena, and I'm a mental health therapist.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline, and I am the producer and co-host. I do want to give everyone a small little update. We are having some technical issues with having the videos come out, if I could actually talk right. So if they're out of order when they come out, I apologize. I'm only putting out what it is allowing me. I am in communication with tech support, so it is just taking me a while just to try and get this rolling. Another update or issue we're having is I don't have contacts in. So if you see me squinting, it's because I cannot see. And when I hear people, I read their mouth. So it's going to be hard for me to see Selena reading, talking, or looking at my notes. So just call me Ariana Grande. She can't see.
Okay, Ari.
Yep. The episode we'll be talking about today, the recap of it all, it's just so much. It's so crazy. Lorelai, we left off with her running away to find herself, to follow a book, which is so funny because everyone's like, the book of the movie, and she's doing the book. And she's just trying to find her soul, trying to find her purpose in life, trying to find her happiness. We realize that Emily is constantly coming up with facts that are hurting her about her relationship and how she always runs and is never there. And it's always her idea and never the man's idea. And it's pretty much Lorelai's way or no way. So we see a big turning point with her and Emily. We also see a big turning point with her and Rory because they left it off as runaway at the funeral. But the gathering at the cemetery, and we're not talking. So we see a big turning point there. We also see another big turning point with Luke and Lorelai because, like I said, she ran away. She just came home. So Jess is also back in the picture as a friend and as a mentor to Luke. Oh my, how the tables have changed.
How the turntables turned.
Yes. Did I say that saying wrong? The tables have changed.
I was quoting something else.
Aristotle or something.
So I'm pretty sure it's The Office.
Okay. I don't know. I just hear it a lot from the Torturous Poet Department, Aristotle. Hey, so
I just want to let everyone to know that I have a bi-monthly email where I take deep dives into patterns that I see in life, on social media, within my practice, what's happening in the mental health world, where I take deep dives into talking about all things self-esteem and relationships. This is where you can also get all of the fun news and updates happening with our podcast and with Lotus Rising, as well as what's going on in my Etsy store. I'm always having fun creating new things. So if you're interested, make sure you click the link in the comments to sign up.
Wow, let's dive into this. I have so many questions about this episode with the Gilmore Girls. First off, I want to say Christopher came in the picture. Does he not age? Like, oh my God. I literally was like, he doesn't age. Like, what? He still looks the same old Christopher as he did when Rory was 16 and he was trying to make it happen and come around. Like, his voice didn't change, his everything, just he was the same. And I'm like, well, everyone else changed but him. So I do want to start off with this relationship with Rory and him because it is a small one. It's not a lot, but there's a lot to unpack it within it. She comes to him in his office, which I thought was a nice office, but I kind of got they were picking it apart without picking it apart at each other. Because he kept saying the words, I have money, I don't know what to do. I have money, I don't know what to do. You know, like, what a problem. So she came to him and she said, and remind you, I don't have my contacts in, so I do have to bring this close. Were you okay with Lorelai raising me alone? Did she push you away, but you let it happen? And then it flipped and she got up and just got very self-defensive about things. And I'm just like, well, in my personal opinion, that's a question for your mom. Your mom should answer that because, yes, she pushed him away. And how dare you come at your dad for all that? Because you don't know what really happened. You only know what you saw. You have not yet asked the real questions to the person who it should have been towards. because in the older episodes, there is an episode where he said, I will work for your dad. I will do this, this, and this. I will do what it takes to be a father to you, to Rory. Talking about to Lorelai. At the time, I don't think they knew her name was going to be Rory because she was still in Lorelai's belly. But he, in that episode, was going to make moves at 16. I'll quit school. I'll do this. I'll do that. And she was like, no, 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 no. So, sorry, I just went on a rampage there. But I got heated in that moment because I personally felt like those questions should have never been directed at him.
Well, we don't know what she knows, right? So we don't know.
I feel like we know what she knows because she knows what we know, if that makes sense.
No.
Well,
I don't think we know. Just because we can see all of these things happen doesn't mean that Rory sees it.
That's what I'm saying, is we see the mom side and that's what she sees.
Right, but I don't think Rory knows what happened before she was born. Unless Rory was told.
She knows bits, but not the full
She knows
story.
bits and pieces, right? Which I think that's why she's coming to him to like get the full story. Like she's writing this book about her life, right? She wants to get the full story. Why did you not choose to raise me? And his response was, what did he say? He said it was Lorelai's decision.
Bam.
She made the choice. Lorelai made the choice. She didn't want, what's his name? Christopher. Jesus. I was like, Jason. It's not Jason.
No.
Lorelai did not want Christopher or anyone to be a part of it. I also think that's part of the reason why Lorelai didn't want her to write the book, because she didn't want to have to deal with the fact that she chose to push everyone away and do this on her own.
Yeah. It just makes me so upset. I get what you're saying. Yes, she wanted the rest of the puzzle piece put together, but what is she going to do? Not talk to her mom? No.
Maybe.
No.
They very much kind of depended on each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'm curious to like why you're mad.
I feel like she was attacking him. I feel like she was saying, you were okay with that? You were okay that you did nothing about it? You didn't come up, you did it, and he was like telling her like, no. I had no control. And you could tell she was getting mad because she wasn't getting the answer she wanted. I think she wanted to hear him say, you're right, I didn't try, I didn't really want you, blah, 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 blah. But in reality, he's like, no, actually, I did try. So I wonder if in that moment she was mad at Lorelai, but it came off at him.
Yeah, I think you're right, because her and Lorelai at this time are not talking.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's going to look for answers, and she's mad at her dad. Maybe she's mad that he didn't try harder. Maybe he's mad that like he didn't take her to court and like go and get legal custody of this kid.
Yeah.
I mean, he clearly didn't try all the avenues, so there's some warranted anger at him. And then he goes and like starts this other family, and I mean, I imagine as a child of a father who starts another family and gets a fresh start, that probably brings up a lot of anger for that person. And so she probably is angry at her mom, but she can't stay angry at her mom because they depend a lot on each other. And so it's like she's mad at her dad and her mom, but it's easier to be mad at her dad because her dad is in and out while her mom is always there.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I think that scene just angered me because I'm not team Christopher by any means, but I am team Christopher when it comes to being a dad and it comes to showing up and it comes to being there, because from the episodes that I do kind of remember, he was ready to throw everything out the window and be a father. The second time around, when him and Lorelai were doing the thing and, just playing house, I called it, he was once again ready to be there, but then Gigi got pregnant and and Lorelai asked the question, are you going to leave Gigi? Are you going to be here? And he goes, wasn't there for Rory. He goes, I wasn't there for Rory, so I can be there for this kid, but I still want to be with you. And Lorelai's like, no, just go be a father to the new kid.
Yeah, Lorelai's really good at pushing everyone away.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess that scene just angered me because it's like, and I don't know. There's still a lot more to unpack, but it's like the writers brought him in just so she could attack his ass.
Well, I think that the writers wanted to bring in all of the main characters, like, because we also see Suki in this, and like Melissa McCarthy at this point in time is like, I bet she was an expensive role to get, so they only brought her in for like 20 minutes.
They did, yes, they did.
And so they were bringing in everyone that they could as like the reunion. So, but yeah, why not?
Man,
Call him on his shit.
he did not age. Dear God, I was like, Christopher, you know it's you. I do want to talk about the love between Rory and Logan. So she left. Her and Lane. Bye. Not talking to you. Click. Not talking to you. We're done. Like, it is what it is. She's having a bad day and comes in and saves her day as Logan with him and his crew. And what was the song? Was it the Beatles that they were doing? I'm obsessed. I loved it. In a romantic way for those two. That's their relationship. Is he sweeps her away and takes her on these wild rides, and she just forgets about life. And it reminded me very much so of Peter Pan and the Lost Boys, because they said, mom's leaving. And she's like, no. And she went to every single one and gave him a hug and a kiss and was like, no, mom this, mom that. And then went to Peter Pan, aka Logan, and was like, I don't need these keys. I'm going home. We're done. Like, this is it. This is it. And do you feel like it was hard for Rory to finally end it? Or do you feel like this is just going to be, we're done until the next thing she needs saved from happens?
Well, spoiler alert if you haven't watched this. She's pregnant at the end.
Well, yes.
So
but we don't know who.
I suspect it's his baby. She's been actively sleeping with him.
Yeah.
She clearly hasn't been sleeping with what's-his-face, because he finally broke up with her because, like, our communication is terrible. Paul? I think and, like, there's no indication that her and Jess got together, so, like, all signs point towards Logan.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think it was hard for her to say goodbye, because finally in this moment, she's choosing herself, because he was like, yes, she agreed to this, but it's real shitty. Like, it shows a devaluation of herself and her poor self-esteem. And by choosing to continue in a relationship with someone who's engaged and has no intentions of breaking off the engagement, and that has been clear.
Mm-hmm.
And the engagement keeps moving forward, and Rory keeps getting pushed behind. And so I think it was hard, because it's like her finally giving up this idea, this romanticized version of what she wants Logan to be. And she's finally realizing, like, no, this isn't it. This was like a fantastic time for us to end our relationship, but it's over. Yeah. And this was like her goodbye, her last hurrah. And so everyone was like, mom is leaving. And it's interesting, because she very much is like the mother role of everyone, even Logan, like making sure that they're all like crossing their I's and dotting crossing their T's and dotting their I's. Yes. And like making sure they're not getting in trouble and not overspending their money and things like that. So yeah, I think she is finally saying goodbye. However, I think she's being propelled into the same cycle that Lorelai was, because now she's pregnant. And she might not tell Logan, or she might be like, no, you're getting engaged. I'm going to go do this by myself. Like, she could very easily continue the pattern that her mother did.
I think, looking back at it, the reason why, and I'm jumping stories here real quick just to go back toward that. It's funny you say that, because I think the reason why Christopher didn't go after Rory is because the Gilmores have money. They will drag Christopher in court. Christopher's family had money, but the Gilmores have, like...
But they wanted him to be involved.
They did, but I'm saying for him to run and say, oh, let me get custody, let me do this, all, they have money. So for Rory, she's getting pregnant, say it is Logan, I don't think she will tell them. And if she does tell them, she's not going to make a fuss of it, because the Huntsbergers, the roles have been reversed. The Huntsbergers have the money. And I think she would just be, very lay low. I don't think she would do it. I don't think she would do what Lorelai did. I don't think she will be the whole push away. I think she will be more Emily. If you want to see the kid, we need to hang out. If you want, what I mean? I feel I'm getting that vibe of like because she wanted Logan. Well, I didn't think she was going to move in. I didn't think you guys were going to move this forward. I didn't. Like, so now that she's pregnant with him, now's her chance to be like, okay, well, if you want to see the kid, we have to go have dinners.
I don't think Rory's like that, though. She's very like, I'm just not going to tell you.
I don't know.
Like, suffer through this. Because she does, like, she's a goody two-shoe, right? She doesn't want to disrupt the status quo. Like, she doesn't want to ruin his life. She doesn't want to make him upset, so she's not going to tell him. She's just gonna like suffer in silence. She suffered in silence the entire relationship they were together while he was with her. Why was he with the fiance? She didn't say leave her. She didn't, because that's what she wanted. I think she was holding out that he would let go of her, and he never did. He continued on the relationship.
Well, because he said that's part of the plan. That's the Huntsberger plan.
Right. And so why would she want to mess up the plan by saying that she's pregnant? I don't think she's going to tell him.
I don't know.
What a cliffhanger to leave us on. Rude.
Yeah, forever.
Rude.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, I guess we should do it. Let's dive in on Emily and Lorelai. Last we left off, old therapy, not going, not talking to each other. The funeral thing happened. Emily was calling her out on a lot of shit that, literally Emily could not, or Lorelai could not handle. So Lorelai left, went on this find yourself soul searching thing. Well, actually, let's talk about Emily and that guy. I thought that one scene was so funny because he came up to her. He goes, "I have some bad news," and she goes, "Lobster." And he's like, "No, like I'm leaving." She's like, "Oh," and like pushes him out the door. Why? I thought she like wanted him around. I thought she needed that.
I think she realized she didn't want him around anymore because we see her like she's like coming into her own, right? She buys this house in Nantucket. Like she is like the aggressive, I don't know, like tour guide, not a tour guide, but like a museum speaker person about the whales, and she's like terrorizing these kids.
Yes.
She's really like coming into her own, right? She's like doing things that she finally wants to do. She has that big blow up with the DAR, says she quit. She's like, this is bullshit. We all pretend like we're gonna talk about it, but like you're not getting in, right? I think she's tired of that chapter. She's like closing that chapter and like going to become like more a different version of herself, this next chapter of herself, because she doesn't see, it seems like her purpose in like high society is over. She wants to relax now and like enjoy and contribute to her community in a different way. And so this guy, I forget whatever his name is, essentially just like a different version of Richard. And she's like, I don't want that. I don't want that. That's not what I want to do. I want to enjoy my time. I don't want to be a part of these like high society things. They don't matter to me anymore. And so she's like, thank God you're leaving. Like, I don't have to do this. Like, you're going. So I think that's why she like was like, okay, bye. Like,
yeah, I just thought that was funny. And she was like, I can't, what's her name? Maria Gloria. She's like, bags, pack, going somewhere.
Maybe. And it's maybe hopefully she will learn Spanish to speak to the people that she's invited to live with her home.
She doesn't know what language you're speaking. She doesn't think it's Spanish.
That's right.
She doesn't know what it is.
No, that's right. She could just ask.
But it's just funny that this is the one nanny that's stuck around.
Nanny?
In a way, well, like, not maid. Nanny, but maid.
Well, I guess it kind of is a nanny if you're taking care of a grown-ass adult.
Yeah, I mean... Anyway, so Lorelai and Emily. First off, Lorelai, what are you doing out in the woods? You tried 3 or 4 times. Like, you really tried hard, but okay. She went out, she stared out at the trees and plants and flowers and whatever, this valley, and was like, Mom, and just poured her heart and soul into like a childhood memory of hers about how she felt neglected, how she felt like she wasn't good enough, how she was the second choice because the guy already liked someone else and that someone else just wasn't available at the time. And Emily, instead of like, why are you telling me this? She just listened and took it in. And I think that's what she wanted all along, was just to be a part of Lorelai's life.
One, there's so much to unpack. One, I think that story for Lorelai, like running away from school and going to the mall, is very symbolic of the time that her dad did not come and find her when she played hide and seek. But her dad knew exactly where to look to find her if he really wanted to. So there's like, this was a time for Lorelai when her dad chose to go and find her and like be with her and like not tell on her, but like actually be there for her. Quite healing and also quite sad because there is this like realization that her dad didn't always choose to come find her.
Yeah.
So there's some heartbreak in that. Another thing to unpack is like she like tries this to go on this long hike that everyone knows that she's not ready for. She can't pack her bag. She doesn't have her things. She can't open her bag. She's duct taping things. Like, the weather is bad. All these blocks, right? And what she's looking for is quite literally around the corner. And it's there, and what she needs is right there. It's been right in front of her face. It's so symbolic. Like, the relationships and connection that she needs, she doesn't need to go and look for them. They're literally right there. She just needs to allow them to come in. And I think that's what she found out and happened when she saw this view. So she called her mom and she let her mom in. And like, that was probably a really healing moment for both of them, of like, I'm sharing this vulnerable thing with you, because they're not like that. They don't share their vulnerabilities. And so finally Lorelai is like, I'm gonna stop pushing you away and I'm gonna give you an honest answer. And it was a beautiful honest answer, and it was a very connecting moment, and that relationship was right there had she just gotten out of her own way and allowed herself to accept it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it showed right there when she made all the connections, or not connections, but relationships with the women there, that that's all she needed. She just she just needed to learn how to let people in. Like, letting those strangers in, was hard. So next step is to let mom in, which is even harder.
Exactly.
So yeah, she did that. Then she came in like a china shop and swung the door open and was like, I'm home. And Luke was like, Lorelai. And she's like, I'm here. And he jumped and said,
You're leaving me.
You're leaving me.
And she's like, we're getting engaged.
Yeah.
We're getting married. Which they're not on the same page.
Well, let's back that up for a minute. He jumped because he saw patterns from how she is with her other exes. And he jumped because good old Jess broke it down to him. Like, this is what it's looking like. This is how it is. We've watched this happen time and time again. You've watched it more than me, but like, what are you going to do about it?
Yes. And
that was a vulnerable moment for those two.
Absolutely. It was such a great bonding moment for those two to like have this like deep feeling conversation. When we look at attachment styles, Lorelai is very much avoidant in attachment. She has a hard time getting close to anyone. And we see this in like Luke's reaction of like, you're leaving me, right? She's sending signals that she is getting ready to leave him. And she physically does leave him for this trip, and then comes back and is like, oh, by the way, we're actually going to get married. Doesn't really ask him. I mean, she's ready and prepared, but like in this moment, she's like, we're doing it. I already have the date set. I know where it's going to happen. Like, there's no consulting him. She's just like doing it.
Yeah.
And like, thankfully, he's on the same page. Was like, yes, thank God, don't leave me. Let's get married. But this is like such a pattern of hers of just like charging through life, not giving a shit about what anyone else wants. Like, we're doing this again, the same pattern. I think out of everyone, Lorelai has learned the least.
Yes.
Because she's still doing the same things. I think she's like just now on the cusp of learning these things about herself, with this like conversation with Emily, with going to therapy, but she's very much still doing old patterns. Which I think to say, like, this is a part of the therapy and healing process. You will continue to engage in old patterns until you learn and heal from these patterns and grow and want something different for yourself. She's still very much in the early stages of her healing process, so she's going to be engaging in patterns. So her behavior makes sense, but she's still doing the same things.
She is still doing the same things, but she's gonna get married, I guess. So then she goes to bed after the excitement and the ups and downs, and she gets woken up by Paulinka, and she looks up and there's Rory. They don't have conversations. They just do this dance around the table. I brought Chinese. No, I want ice cream. Do you want ice cream? Because I got a spoon. Well, then let's sit down. And then they hug, and then they sit down. And it's kind of like Bridgerton when they dance and they do this.
Yes.
They go around
Simple.
and then they dip. The dip is them sitting down at the table. And then she goes, well, here's the book. If you don't like it, I will be done with it.
people pleasing. Doesn't want to disrupt the status quo. That's her pattern. She's doing it with Logan. She does it with her mom. Okay, continue. Sorry.
And yeah. And she said, and she goes, no harm, no foul, nothing. If you don't like it, I will be done with it. I'll shred it. I'll burn it. I'll cut it. I'll find a new hobby. But she went to, I got emotional on this scene. She went to the Gilmore house, the Friday night dinners, and you can hear the chatter. You can hear, Emily, I said no cheese. Richard, sit down. Richard, because that's always she said. Richard, it's dinner time. Where are you? Get off the phone, Richard. And just like hearing that, I felt like I was walking through my grandma's house and hearing all my grandma's chatter, because I did just recently walk through my grandma's house. And I did have that similar vision of like, that's where we played. That's where we were at. That was my bedroom. That was where John and I blah, blah, blah. Like, it was just so surreal to like watch her do it. And then literally the next day I did it. And it was a good job, editors, because it was a very good way of putting Richard at the table. He's always at that table, and he was just as if nothing ever changed. And I mean, I think this book, I don't remember, I think it's physically out. I don't really know. I know it's a book. I don't know physically if it's actually out or if that was just for that, or if the Gilmore Girls in general was the whole circle is what's in the story is what we've all watched, I think is more of the reference. But either way, it was perfect. It was a perfect delivery, perfect ending in that scene. It was just a full circle moment. And I'm pretty sure Lorelai gives it the okay.
Yes. So I did like that like cinematic take on the past episodes, like the very beginning.
It was a good tribute.
Yeah, it was a nice tribute to like all the things that they have gone through and like what is entailed in the book. To the dancing around the kitchen and not actually talking about, we're still in this pattern. They have not made a repair. Ideally, they talk about it. Why it's so important to Rory to write this book, why it's important that she gets her mother's approval. What is it that Lorelai is hesitant about? Instead, like, there was never a conversation about any of that. There was never a conversation about understanding each other and like why Rory wants to go forward and why Lorelai is hesitant. Lorelai is just like, you're not writing about me.
Well, we know why Lorelai's hesitant.
Well, Rory doesn't.
Yes, she does. She told her. She said, "What if you write about? What if you write about the time where I left you in a bucket in the supermarket?"
Yeah. That's a surface level bullshit.
I mean,
that's perfect. They're not talking about the feelings, right? They're not talking about like how Lorelai feels shame, or maybe she feels scared, or maybe she's scared of the judgment, right? She's not talking about those things. Instead, she's just shutting her down.
Yeah.
And Rory is very much on, if you like this, it's okay, but if you don't, I won't do it again. She does that shit with everyone. Because if we look at this pattern, Rory's like, maybe I'll show you this, and if you like it, cool, but if you don't, I won't push it. Because Lorelai just like stops talking to her when they get mad. They just stop talking to each other. Lorelai runs away from her problems. She doesn't face them. She leaves her mom. She leaves her daughter. And so Rory, as a child, is scared to upset her mother for fear that she will be left.
Wow. That's interesting.
And so it happens, right? And so she's still like, I don't want to upset you. That's why she does it with Logan. I don't want to upset you because I'm fearful that you will leave me. That's why she never asked him to leave. Odette, or whatever the hell her name is. Because if she can get him in this capacity, it's better than nothing for her until she finally decides she doesn't want him if she can't have all of him. She's doing the same thing with her mother. She's learned this from her mother, to not upset her mother, otherwise her mother will shut down and leave her emotionally, if not physically.
Which is what Emily did to Lorelai when they were younger.
Yes. And here we see the generational trauma.
It's unfold, ladies and gentlemen. For the sake of time, real quick, I want to talk one last thing about the one pattern that happened again. Who needs money? Lorelai went to Emily and sat down and said, "Hey, Mom, I want to open a bigger inn." Emily, words from Richard, and I quote, these are always the words from Richard Gilmore, is, She needs money, Emily. She needs money. That's why she's here. She needs money. Lorelai is always the one to be like, will you stop making it about money? It's not that. I really want to just be here. And Emily's like, on the contrary, you will do this, this, and this for this amount of money. So she spun it to be more emotional and more connecting by saying, can I use Luke's money? He doesn't want it. God only knows if he really wanted it or not. They never had that conversation. But he doesn't want it, and I want to honor Dad. Well, damn, if you put Dad in it, that's some feelings.
Yeah, I think this has the potential to be something different. Yeah, she's asking for money, but I think she has the potential to actually connect with her mother this way. I think her relationship with her mother is changing for better.
So
it's unfortunate that it took her father dying to do that.
Death happens, and I think it takes a lot of people to change when death happens, because they see that it can happen to anyone at any given time. And let's fix our shit now before I die. And I mean, what's it matter? You're dead. The person who's living has to deal with it, but still, they want to die on a clean slate.
Yes. Death, babies, and weddings. Those are the 3 life events that will change people and how they interact in their relationships. I've seen it in my own life. I've seen it in my clients' lives. I've seen it in my friends' life. Death, babies, and weddings. They will change your family dynamics.
So, next time we'll talk about Inside Out. I'm excited. Inside Out is a Pixar movie. So yeah, so I'm excited about that. If you have any other movies or shows you want us to do or want us to dive in, let us know in the comments and we will dive in.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. We had a lot of deep dives into relationships, generational trauma, and patterns that we see that happen in our parental-child relationship that go also into how our romantic relationships. So with that being said, just because I'm a therapist doesn't mean that I am your therapist. If something in this episode struck a chord with you, we highly, highly, highly suggest that you seek out therapy for yourself.
Let us know if you have any questions in the comments. Be sure to reach out. Be sure to give us a like and follow. This has been Reality Check.
That's excellent.